Hey there, welcome. How are you all doing? You are on with Veronica Janes, e-commerce expert and mentor, and myself, Claudia Sheridan, digital marketing strategist and coach. And today we have a great topic. But first, I'm going to turn it over to Veronica and let her introduce herself.
I'm switching in and out. I think my internet
is it off and on. Do you want to jump out of Skype and then come back on?
I'm back on again.
Okay,
yes.
You're on. All right, there we go. We've got Veronica. Yay!
I'm Veronica Janes, and I'm e-commerce coach and mentor. I've completely forgotten what I'm doing, and I help you get your products online and find those amazing customers. And there's obviously a lot more to it, but that's what I do basically. Okay.
Awesome. So yeah, usually we don't script anything, as you can tell. If we have technical glitches, we have technical glitches. And if we forget what we're going to say, we forget what we're going to say. And it's just kind of how the afternoon goes. And we're totally cool with it. So for those of you that are new and don't know who I am, my name is Claudia Sheridan. I am a digital marketing strategist and coach. And I help, unlike Veronica, who is amazing in the e-commerce world with products-based, I focus on service-based. So I work with clients who maybe don't have an actual product they're offering, but a service. And today's topic was one that Veronica messaged me this morning. She goes, "What are we talking about today?" And I said, I literally just woke up my eyes and I woke up thinking about fears. And I know that's kind of an odd way to wake up, but it was one of those things that inspired me to think about what kind of fears do we have as new businesses, and maybe even when we've been in business for a while and we're trying to navigate this entrepreneurial landscape, and these fears arise. And I thought, what a great topic, because we all have them. So I pitched it over to Veronica, and she's like, great, because she's been talking about the same thing. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is some of the fears. And one of the fears that I wanted to address is one about knowing, like, if you're just new into the entrepreneurial journey, you may not know what you want to do. For example, I know a lot of people that maybe get laid off, or they leave one job and they're looking for something else, or maybe they have a family, or they decide that they want to start working from home, but they just don't know what to do. And Facebook groups are full of these types of individuals who have this entrepreneurial spirit, but maybe just don't know which direction to go into. So I definitely want to talk about that first. Veronica, if someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, Veronica, I want to do what you do. I want to work from my boat," or "I want to work from home," what kind of advice could you give them? I mean, what goes through your mind when this person comes up and talks to you?
I mean, the first thing I tend to ask them, what are they an expert in? What were they doing when they were working, or what do they know? Because that's what you can become an expert in, because you have to be an expert in something to start a business, right? Because you can't just start a business because, hey, this looks cool, right? So, yes. So either you have to know what you're doing in the job, and normally that's what people do. They have a job, they see how it's done, they think, "Oh, Lordy, I can do this a lot better. It looks so easy." And then they jump into it, right?
And I think that's an important thing, is that you need to know what you're doing. I can't tell you, I mean, especially in the social media marketing world, it seemed like there was a person doing social media marketing, like one is born every minute, because we think, oh, Facebook is so easy, or yeah, I'm on Twitter, or yeah, I do Pinterest, or whatever that is. I mean, just because you play on it and because you use it doesn't make you an expert on that. And the reason I say that is because there's so much more involved. For example, if I decided that I wanted to sell a product online, I'm going to need a little bit of guidance. I mean, I would reach out to Veronica and say, "Hey, how do I know what types of products I'm going to sell? What do I do next?" I mean, sure, I can get the social media marketing aspect of it. I understand that, and I know that like the back of my hand. But when it comes to like product selection, I would have no idea what to pick or what to do or what kind of pitfalls to fall into. And so I think being an expert in whatever you're doing, it goes a long way, because it's instant credibility. You don't have to freak out and say, now I've got to learn something new, right?
No, exactly. And I mean, there are people that have, or if it's not even what you've known, but maybe it was a hobby that you did, and you think this is great because people are interested. You've had a couple of times when people say, oh my Lord, I would love something like this. And either you give it away as a present or you've managed to sell a couple of items. That was also a good idea, right? Because I was talking about, I've been talking recently about people that retire and then they have another 25, 30 years that, what are you going to do? So, because you also get bored with what, for instance, with your corporate job or what you've done, so you really want to change. And that's when you maybe decide, okay, so what am I good in except for what I was doing? Maybe it's a hobby or something you need to learn to become an expert in, right? So take the time to learn how to do something to become an expert in it,
And I think that's important too. I was listening to Mark Schaefer, and those of you that have watched the show before know that I've mentioned Mark Schaefer before. But he brought up a really good example about like trying to figure out what your niche is. And, a niche is something is very specific. And if you're going off of a hobby, you need to really look and see, is it truly something that's marketable? So an example that he gave is that, he loves hiking. He loves hiking in really good weather. And he's an older gentleman who may not necessarily be the most physically fit person. And so if he were to start a business, it would be, how men over the age of X can hike in beautiful weather and not get tired. And that would be, that's what he enjoys doing. That's his hobby. But there isn't, it's not a viable market that's sustainable. And so I think it's important when you're looking at your hobbies to look and see, is it something that's truly sustainable as a business and something that you're not going to get bored of? Because how many times, I'm sure, Veronica, there's things that you've tried that you're like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then the excitement wears off and you just kind of let it go by the side.
Oh, plenty.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and that's the whole thing, you've got to stay enthusiastic when it gets a bit rough and you can't get customers immediately because nobody really knows that you're around. So now you really have to work at getting your business out there, and that's when it gets like, oh, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? What am I doing here? So you need to have really, really a passion for it, and you have to know what you're doing, really. Because bumbling along and thinking you know what you're doing is not going to cut it.
Right.
Right?
That's huge. I read once there was like 10,000 hours to become an expert. Right. Yes. And, now, Shirley, I mean, if you don't have those 10,000 hours, and we're not saying don't do it, we're saying that whatever you choose to do, know that it's going to take you some time to actually turn it into a business. Because, the definition of business is maximizing shareholders' profits. And when you're an entrepreneur, you are the main shareholder. And, we are in business to help others, but also to make money because we need to put the roofs over our head or the water under our feet, so to speak, and get that momentum going. But there are definitely difficult times that you need to, weather that storm, if you will, because there are times where, maybe everyone thinks it's an amazing idea of what you're doing. And then you start doing it and you realize, there's not really a market for it, or maybe I need to market it differently, or I need to put a spin on it, and I'm adjusting what I'm doing.
I've seen it so many times where people really jump into something. Everybody around them says, oh my Lord, this is a wonderful idea. I think you should sell it. And I go, really, you're trying to do something that is so niche that it's a niche or niche, right? And it really narrows your margins. We'll talk about margins, okay? Because and most people go, oh, I've got this amazing idea. I'm just going to jump in and do this without a plan. And then the margins.
Yes.
And the margins are very, very, very important. Because I've talked to small business owners that are selling stuff online and they're actually selling it for less than what they're buying it for at the end. Somebody out there, the IT guy, advised them to And what the IT guy knows about selling products online, who the hell knows? But the IT guy told them, bring your prices down. And I went, really? No, no. And they had a mortgage to pay and all that stuff. So you really have to have, you have to have a plan, and you've got to know the margins, right? Because if you don't know that, and then how many do you have to actually sell to make an income?
Right.
$2.50. You've got to sell a lot of items if you're making a $2.50 profit, right? And then you're not really a profit because you haven't taken off the rent, the electricity, the water, all this other stuff that people really don't think about. And believe me, it's not just small business owners. Companies do this.
Yeah.
That say, I make 25% profit. No, they don't. You know,
right.
If you're looking at numbers, right?
And
so, yeah, you have to really know what you're doing. I mean, go for advice. You know, the people out there that, sorry about interrupting.
No, go for it.
The people out there that really know what they're doing with setting up businesses, go talk to your bookkeeper, no, not your bookkeeper, your accountant. I mean, spend an hour or something.
Oh, I'm seeing that word. There we go.
Yes, I mean, just talk to somebody, because if your accountant will definitely be able to help you, or somebody, right?
And I think that's really, really important when you have that, you know, that fear of I'm not making money. And, you know, we all have it. Veronica's mentioned it with regard to the margin, because, you know, there comes to a point where you start to, especially if you're in the service industry, you start to think, am I charging enough? Am I charging too much? You start to, this almost this self-doubt comes in, like, am I worthy of charging that? Or, you know, maybe your ego is a little too fed and you're charging way too much. And, you know, and kudos to you if you can get those clients. But I think that comes down to, you know, knowing that you can talk to other people and find out, you know, what types of margins should you be expecting? Getting involved with societies and organizations and just locally, you know, connecting and networking with people that do what you do, and find out, you know, what is realistic and what is not, so that I can start to alleviate those fears and maybe start to work towards it. I mean, listen, we all get it. I've got right here on my little, you know, notepad, I've got people I need to pay and how much money I need to pay them, and then broken down. Okay, so that means I need to generate this much business. And at the end of the day, I mean, if you don't know what that is, you're going to have these fears of am I charging on? Am I not? What the heck am I doing? Is going to end up being creep in.
Exactly. You've got to. I mean, even if you're working from home, right? You have your office in your home, so you can take. You've got to take those costs into consideration as well. Not your whole house, because I mean that's a part of your business. But you know, you've got to think of how much money do you have to generate to make a comfortable living. Before we sound like that guy from what's that guy that does the savings thing? You know, save money.
Oh, I don't know. A lot of people come to mind.
TV guy. But I was actually listening to him on a podcast, and all he did was sell. But so I mean, there is always this fear of, you know, am I charging too much? Am I charging too little? I mean, the best thing to do is first see what you're doing, and that's services or products, right? Yeah. You got to sit down and say, okay, this job is going to take me 6 hours, and if you've charged, I don't know, $100 for it, I don't think you're going to make a lot of money, right?
Right.
So you got to think, what can the industry, what's the prices in the industry, which is really hard to determine because nobody tells you. Sort of really, right? Hire somebody, and then you'll know how much it costs.
Yeah.
But you know, work on exactly what the project is like, how much you're going to charge. I mean, you got to really think clever when you are going to start a new business.
And I think that's huge. I mean, again, you know, can't emphasize enough the importance of reaching out to people and just having conversations and networking so that you can learn what it takes. And I know that oftentimes a lot of businesses come about because maybe you are at home and you have a spouse that brings in the majority of the income, and therefore you don't have to worry about the roof over your head. I know plenty of people like that. And I mean, that's so awesome for them because they don't have to necessarily worry about being the main breadwinner. And so then they start into, turning that hobby into generating business. And, there is a line. A hobby is a hobby, and a business does take work. And I know that, we all see online, we see commercials, we see events, everybody's promising multi-million dollars overnight. They're promising you these astronomical results. And yet the reality is that it takes work. It takes dedication. It takes time. And you need to do your homework with it. Right?
Yes, absolutely. You got to, and I know people think, I've got my customers and I go, my clients and I go, have you done your goals? How are you doing on your goals and where are your goals? They go, no, not in your head. Yeah. You have to be written down and you have to think about, I know people say, there's some guys say, take the big goal, how much millions you want to make this year. It's not going to work, right? It's not going to work. So, unless you're very lucky and Shark Tank, you go to Shark Tank and they love what you do, right? But, it takes time to get online, for people to get to know you, to buy your products or your services. And you've got to unfortunately, you have to put the hours in. They to say it takes 5 years to build a business, right? And that was before the internet. 5 years to build your business. And believe me, it takes 5 years.
I totally agree.
I don't care when you're on the internet or if you're off the internet. And what I mean by 5 years, you can start making money, but to see big results is you put the time in and you've worked it. Because the guys that say they've made millions have put the time in.
Yeah, I mean, they've been doing it for a long time that they don't tell you about until you pay more money for them, to join their inner circles, and then they tell you more, right? They tell you like the reality of it, and I think that's so important. So let's talk about maybe some other fears, because I had put down. We talked about like not charging. I'm looking at my notes on my other screen right now, but marketing to the wrong people. And that's a fear that I don't think comes in the beginning, because when you first start off in business, you tend to think everybody's going to buy your stuff because this is just like the best thing since sliced bread or soft butter, And so everybody is going to use your stuff. Everybody's going to give you money. Yeah. And in the beginning, typically your friends and the families are the ones that help you and they support you. And so maybe they buy your first products, or they, attend your first events or things like that. And then that's going to fizzle out. And, I would say going to the 5 years, that first year, it's a building year. It's going to cost you money. That second year, you start to get a little bit of momentum. You bring a little bit of money, hopefully. That third year is typically a good year. Yes. And then you kind of get comfortable. That fourth year, you're like, I wonder why it wasn't like my third year. And then the fifth year, you're like, oh my goodness, I need to make some changes and build it up if I want to make it a sixth year. That's been my experience in business. Yes. And I think that marketing to the right people, it doesn't come until about the third, fourth year when you start to really identify who the best people are for your products or your services.
Yes, it is. I mean, today it's so much easier because you can do research. You can look at other websites. You can go into businesses and see who's buying from you. But I mean, in the end, once you've started as well, what my experience has been with small businesses, once you've started and you've sold to several people, eventually you will have your ideal customer that that guy buys from you, right? The guy with the rugby jersey and the sloppy shorts and the dirty sneakers, right?
Yes.
But he has money, right? He has to have money.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, right. But he's just a casual guy, so he's not the guy in a suit and tie. So you need to market and be in places where that guy is, right? So you got to also strategically think where you're going to meet the people that really are going to buy your product. So you can't go to the country club if you're selling to the guy that's in his sneakers and dirty, the dirty hat and
right.
Right?
Right. And I think that's big because there is, for those of you, I want to give a quick shout out to everybody who is joining us. You're on with Claudia Sheridan, myself, digital marketing strategist and coach, and Veronica Jeans, e-commerce expert and mentor. And we're talking about fears that come into play when you're in business, whether you're just starting out or you're continuing on, and how to kind of overcome those fears and the reality behind them and what it takes. And, in looking at that ideal client, right? We tend to call it in the business, we call it like your avatar or your ideal client. And you do need to know where they're at. And so that fear of, am I marketing it to the wrong person, can come about if you're realizing that you're not making any sales, or that the people, the circles that you're involved in aren't asking you questions about what you do. I think that's a great indicator, a first level indicator on, am I, with the right people to market it to the right people. And if there's that fear of the word isn't getting out, then maybe you need to consider who you are and where you are marketing yourself, and what social circle that is.
Yeah, because a lot of times it's difficult to change when you have something in your head and you go into networking meetings and you're doing a certain type of advertising, maybe on Facebook, and your customers are on Instagram, or on Twitter or whatever. But so you need to be able to change. But in the beginning, so one of the biggest things I think is small businesses don't think about money, spending money on marketing, right? And I mean marketing, I mean PR, advertising, branding, what else is there? Networking, all that stuff that is part of marketing, your marketing strategy.
Oh, I don't know if we're frozen or not. No, there you go. You were talking about marketing strategy, then you kind of froze for a second.
Okay, so they don't have marketing strategy, and what happens is that they've spent all this money on developing the product, $80,000 and $45,000 and $10,000. And no thought about, okay, how much money am I going to spend to get the customer in the door?
Right. Or they don't even leave room in the budget for marketing. It's almost like an afterthought.
It is an afterthought. It is. Because, my first question is, with any client, whatever you're doing is, how much money are you going to spend on marketing?
Yes.
And that's when they go, well, $100. What do you think I should spend? And I go, well, what do you have? Right?
Yeah.
$100. And I go, you know what? What would normally take you, is now going to take you 12 months because we have such a. So you get what you spend, right?
Totally. Totally.
But also, on the other hand, I have customers who will spend $1,000 a month, right? In the beginning, right? They don't even know who the customers is. They're in and they're advertising and they're going for it and no idea. Then they waste the money because they didn't do proper research or they're not listening to the experts. And then they go, well, this doesn't work. I might as well not go on Facebook, because 2 billion people.
Right.
Why do I have 2 billion people that love to watch what I do, right?
Yep. So, I think of the triangle, and I have it, I don't know which page is on my book, but I talk about it in my book, and it's, you can have things done well, you can have them done cheap, or you can have them done fast, but you can only pick two. Yeah. So, most entrepreneurs, if you're just starting out, maybe you don't have a large budget, and so you think about, okay, well, I need it done fast. Well, if you don't have a large budget, and you want it done fast, and you can only pick two of these things, that means it's not going to be done well. And so that's when you're going to throw your money away. And so if if there's this fear that no one sees me or no one knows what I'm doing or I'm not getting any traffic, that's definitely a marketing issue. And maybe, rather than stocking up for more inventory for the stuff you might sell, how about getting the word out so people can know about you? Because if they come in and they don't have, this is a big thing with service as well. everybody, we get busy. Our calendars get busy. I get it. And so now we've got to market ourselves. And there's that's a whole other fear that we can talk about here in a minute. But, when you're just starting out, make sure that you allocate funds for marketing, because it's not an expense. It truly is an investment that's going to carry you through those tough days where maybe clients aren't coming in through the door. If you don't have that part of the machine well oiled coming in, it's not going to keep producing for you. And if at the end of the day we're looking to produce more clients, you need to have that marketing machine, working and chiming for you. Yes.
And so, yes. And the other thing is that, the fear of spending money and then losing money. So what small businesses tend to do is market once or twice and, oh, well, I didn't get a sale out of that. I'm going to stop it, right? So it's like, no, you're kidding me, right? You're kidding. You have to be consistently marketing. So I've got to tell you this story. The guy next door, I smacked up a page for him because he wants to sell his boat, right? And I said, spend some money on marketing. So I managed to squeeze out $50 a month for Google, right? And then I said, spend some money on Facebook ads. No, we'll smack it up on some website, on another website, which is cool, right? We've been going for a year now.
Oh my gosh.
Right, he hasn't sold his boat. He's spending $900 and something on his slip fee for his boat. Right, okay?
Oh my gosh.
So, yes, tell me about it, okay? So he's suddenly starting to get a couple of phone calls. But can you imagine if he'd rather spend a couple of extra dollars on a little bit of Facebook marketing, putting some pictures on, a little bit more money on Google, how many more phone calls would he be getting?
Right. I mean, that's huge. He's almost spent $12,000 to basically store his boat on the slip.
Yes.
And he won't spend more. And if you think about it, I mean, $12,000, if he would have spent $2,000 to market it, he would have sold that boat within the first 2 months and come out ahead.
Yeah. And that's the whole problem, is the fear of spending money, because it seems like a black hole, right?
Yes.
So and that's the first thing, and then not having a plan, right? You've got to have, okay, so what am I going to do in the next 3 months or 6 months to get my name out there? And then you have to rinse and repeat, right? Rinse and repeat. And so that's the biggest thing.
And there is that fear of that black hole, and the fear doesn't become, I think people are willing to spend the money, but the fear is that it's not going to generate the results that they want. And the reality of that is that, as Veronica mentioned, I mean, you need to be consistent, because, if you get a sale, or if you get business on your very, very, very first ad campaign, on your very first dollar, you're lucky. This is not the norm. I mean, you've got beginner's luck, and it happened. And there is going to be a point where it's gonna lull out. And I think what happens is, sometimes we tend to automatically go, well, it's no longer working. I don't know what the problem is. It's not me, it's you. Yep. And it doesn't work for me. Right. And when the reality is that you need to write it out. And so, when you're budgeting for marketing, it's almost better for you to place a set budget on a monthly basis, and then increase, on special events and special occasions, increase that budget for those things to get extra traction. But don't ever bring it down to nothing, because the minute you bring it down to zero, you will most definitely not get results, right? I mean, what is the saying? You'll miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And right? And so if you're not marketing, you're not going to generate business. That's just how it is. And marketing is not just one thing. Marketing is a whole pie of events that, as Veronica mentioned, include online. It includes your emails. It includes, if you're going to do print ads, it includes you getting in front of people and attending networking events and tooting your own horn to talk. And so let's go to that fear of having to talk about yourself. That's a big one.
Huge, yes, a huge one. Yes, exactly. And it's like people go to a marketing or networking event and they're too scared to introduce themselves, you got to just walk up and barge in and say, this is me, right? So, yes, exactly. I mean, and everybody thinks that other people look more confident than what they are. But why do you come to a marketing event if you're not going to talk to people?
Right. I mean, we all put our deodorant on in the morning. We're all equally as nervous to get out there and to talk to people. I was just before we went on live today, I was in a group that I assisted moderating, and someone had asked about social media marketing world. And, Ronik and I attend that event. We love that event. It absolutely complements our industries. And somebody had asked, is it, I know how to market. I know all about Facebook ads. I know about all this stuff. I'm really just looking for networking opportunities. Does the networking opportunity, is it a good event to network at? And there was like 30 comments, listed. And I came back with, the opportunities to network exist. They are absolutely there. And if you know how to take advantage of them and you're willing to take advantage of them, it's extremely, extremely beneficial. But at the end of the day, it boils down to the individual, because if you decide at that moment to retreat into your shell and not go out and talk, I don't care what event you attend, it's going to be a horrible networking event for you.
Exactly.
Right? So we need to be comfortable.
Yes. Exactly. It's what you put out is what you're going to get back. It's how much money and effort you're going to put out for your marketing is what you get back. It's how much you're going to put out of yourself is what you're going to get back, And so you look at successful people, they look confident. But believe me, some of them weren't confident. I mean, they would walk into networking and go, my Lord, I'm going to sell myself. They started exactly where everybody else starts. So you really got to push yourself. So in one of these groups on Facebook, the little lady said, what should I do? I can't push that button. I don't know what to do to go Facebook Live. And I said, do it, but have a plan, right? Have notes everywhere and push the button. Just push the button. And there was a famous golfer, and obviously I know the South African golfer, and I've just forgotten his name. Gary Player. Okay. He's been around forever, right? And somebody said to me, man, you're so lucky. And he said, it's amazing how lucky I am the more I practice.
Right?
Right?
Luck comes with practice.
Yeah, and that's in business as well, because every day we have to practice talking about what we do, improving our brochures, improving what our message is, improving our brain.
Everything. I mean, I sit there, I know that there are days that a lot of people come to me and they're like, Claudia, you're always smiling, right? Because I go to all these events and I sit there and smile. And it's so funny because what people don't, sometimes people don't realize this is my little secret, but I'm always smiling. Like, I think I'm smiling in my sleep. I think my cheeks just kind of are hinged that way. And, they're like, how do you do it? Because I love talking to people and I can go to an event, but I'll be honest, there are days I don't want to be quote unquote on. There are days I would much rather, be here in my office or, laying on my bed or just doing something completely different, driving around and not having to be on all the time. And so, when I have those days, I wake up, I kind of like have to snap myself out of it. And it comes down to a mental game because, I sit there and talk to myself and say, all right, you've got this. This is what we're going to do. This is our goal. When we're in business or whether we're networking, you got to go with the plan. And if you have a plan, it's because you have a goal in mind, a goal you want to achieve. So this is my goal. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to reach out to 3 people today, or I'm going to meet 3 people, and I'm going to, shake hands and kiss babies and do what I need to do to accomplish my goal. And so at that point for me, it kind of becomes a game, right? Like, can I do it? And I won't stop until I do it.
You said exactly the right thing. Is you got to have a goal and a plan, right? I mean, that is like the first thing I do in any of my courses is I teach you what is your goal. Well, I don't teach it actually.
I discuss it.
I ask you, and you write it down.
Yes.
Is what is your goal and what are you going to do? What's your plan? Because if you don't have a plan, you know what, you're going to wake up every day and fritter away your day, literally, right? We can fritter, we can social, we can do all this stuff, messing up our whole day without doing anything
Productive.
productive. Thank you very much. You know, you've got to do something, at least one important thing for your business, you know. So, and I hear this all the time, you know, but, oh, you know, I'm so busy, you know, and I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And it's because they don't have a plan. Right. You know, I start with business essentials, and I don't have it here, but I start with a wall calendar. Yeah. It's hugely important. A wall calendar and sticky notes, right? So that your brain is immediately, when you walk in, it's immediately on task. You know what you need to do. And you know, the biggest thing is, I think I was talking about it on Monday. No, I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. Today's Tuesday, tomorrow, Wednesday. Is tell you know, when you are posting and advertising or whatever you're doing, you got to tell people what you want them to do.
Yes, that's so huge.
You give them information, and then you go, here's a pretty picture, and they go, and nobody does anything. So if you're not asking them, hey, share this, like this, or do anything, but it's about us as well. We got to tell ourselves what to do.
Yes.
Because if you don't, right?
Yeah, totally. When I was recently, I went and did my little trip my impromptu trip to Wisconsin to go meet up with a good friend of mine, Roxanne Ross, who's the Savvy Strategista. She's amazing. And so shout out to you, Roxanne. I love you. But we went to this paper store, and she had a pad like this on her table at home, and I loved it. And so I'm just going to kind of cover up a couple of things I have written on it. So you can't see all my stuff, all my notes. But, you know, it says my daily plan. I don't know if you can see that. And then over on the thing, there's a task list. So, and then down here on the, let me see, where's the bottom? Down the bottom, it says goals. And I love this because now and it's nice and thick. So, I mean, there's a good number of pieces of paper that I can have here. And I love it because it makes you think about what tasks you need to accomplish in order to achieve your goals and what your plan is for that day. Because, you know, fear is, what was the acronym I heard? Fear being, was it false experiences appearing real? False experiences appearing real, FEAR. I think that was one of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's, fear, a lot of the fear, I know, yes, there is that fear of public speaking. I love public speaking. I'm odd that way. I just love it. But there are people that are really afraid of it. And so there's that fear of marketing. There's that fear of no one's going to buy your stuff. There's that fear of what am I going to do today? I don't know what to do. I need guidance. And the reality is that if you take a step back and you think about, you know, Simon Sinek with the, you know, begin with the end in mind. You think about what is that goal you're trying to achieve. Then you can break down the steps on how to accomplish that goal. And once you feel confident with your steps, a lot of that fear dissipates. It goes away.
And you know, one other thing is that people don't ask for advice or help, but they also don't get, and I've got a cat on our backs here, they don't get a coach to actually teach them or help them and encourage them, and on those down days or when the sky falls in, then you have somebody in your corner that tells you, you know, this is what you need to do, this is your next step, maybe think about this. And everybody that you know that's successful has a business coach or mentor, and it's so important. I have one. My mentor.
Oh, let me see if she's. There you go. you were breaking up there for a second. We know that you have a mentor and a coach.
Yeah, I have a mentor. My mentor has a mentor. His mentor has a mentor, right? So because all of us are helping our customers, and then we need help for ourselves, right?
Right. Well, and even, I mean, large companies have advisory boards. You know, and advisory boards do just that too for them.
Yes, exactly. You know? Exactly.
Yep. Yes. There's a book I'm just reading. It was one of the networking. I attend a couple of networking events a week, And one of them, this gentleman got up and was speaking, and he's a business coach, and so he was giving his little spiel, and he was talking about, I don't know if you've read this, Veronica, but it's the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
Yes.
By John Maxwell. And so I had read it before years ago. And so I went and bought, the workbook, and I'm going through it again. And they, the very first rule of, or law is the law of the lid. And the law of the lid is when you yourself kind of can only go so far because you can't see anything past that.
Yeah.
And, they talk about the story of McDonald's and the McDonald's brothers. And how, they started selling burgers and things like that. And then they decided the concept of the franchise. But, they really couldn't take it any further because they were afraid to ask for help, or they already had a vision that was so stuck in their vision that it wasn't until they met somebody. And I think of his name really quick because it's Roy or Ray Kroc, Kroc, and Ray Kroc. And when Ray met them, he started working with them, and he actually ended up buying the rights to the franchises. And now take a look around. I mean, McDonald's is international. It's everywhere. And it's because Ray wasn't afraid to ask for help, and Ray wasn't afraid to work with people that were stronger in areas than he is. He wasn't threatened by that. Quite the opposite. He sought those people out and said, help me and do this. Let me hire you to do this. And that's really what propelled it. And that's what broke his lid. And so when you look at the law of the lid and you're thinking about your own business, have you placed a cap on your business because there's this fear of asking for help, or because there's this fear about talking to yourself, or talking to yourself, talking about yourself and what you do for your business and marketing your business?
Yeah. And if you and I know that in my own business, like my own strategy is if you can brainstorm with somebody, then you come up with different ideas. We did a workshop on Monday, in fact, and we were brainstorming about all my clients are either skincare lady, puzzle lady, card lady,
Right.
Right, they're not always. Anyway, so you've got to think about your products. I mean, it's easier to do with services because you're delivering a service and you. Are
you there, Veronica? Did we lose you again? Oh,
I froze again, right?
Oh, you're back.
Okay. Somebody's pinching my internet.
Yes.
I'm going to unplug them. I know who it is Karen. And I'm going to unplug her.
Karen, stop taking her internet. You're messing up our show.
I told her to I told her my trick. So it's...
Uh-oh, you're going in and out again. All right. There you are. You're back. You're back. Even your video sounds, or your video looks better as well. So I think that's it's really important to make sure that you're seeking out help from other people. Those of you just joining us, leave us a note if you have any fears that you want us to talk about and maybe how we've overcome them. Please, leave us a comment. Let us know that you're here. But you're on with myself, Claudia Sheridan, digital marketing strategist and coach, and Veronica G's e-commerce expert and mentor. And we're talking about fears that, Len Tierney, he says, I'm going to add this to the broadcast. Veronica, Len knows a good IT person. So I know a good IT company friend. So there you go. He can help you out with that. Thanks, Len. But yeah, don't be afraid. We're talking about the fears and fears that come up. Don't be afraid to talk through fears with people, because there are so many people that are in the same boat as you are. And with brainstorming, if you don't know the next direction to take your business, or if you don't know maybe how to get in front of somebody, brainstorm with someone else and figure that out, because one head is better. Definitely, two minds are better than one. And I honestly think that. I honestly believe that. And that's why Veronica and I feed off of each other with our businesses, because why should we do it all alone when we can help each other out? Right? All right. I don't know if Veronica's there with us. There you are. You're back.
I can actually see when I'm going out and coming back in again. So I can make faces.
You just wait. You're going to catch one of those faces. Well, I'm used to say, don't make those faces. You're going to freeze that way. So, and online, you may literally freeze that way online. So yeah, so we're talking about fears. Another fear that I wanted to touch about looking at my notes, is, let me see. Oh, age. Let's talk about age really quick. I met with some new friends that I met through our networking group who have their business and they are retired. And it's so interesting because they're so passionate about what they do and they're not letting anything stop them. I mean, they just go full force. And I, have met with other people who are retirees as well, who have found a need or a niche or something and have put something together and have started to market. And then I meet people who say, I wish I would have started when I was younger. And let's just all face it, we all would have wished we would have started when we were younger, right? But the reality is that here we are today. And so how do we get over that fear of maybe I'm a little too old to do what I'm doing, or no one's going to listen to me because I'm too old, which is also another big fear. In the service industry, I mean, they're too young even, so people say I'm too young. And if you're too young, are you going to be taken seriously? If you're too old, are you going to be taken seriously? How do we overcome that fear?
Well, just look at the Kentucky guy who made his millions after 60. I think Mary Kay was older, right, over 60. So you start looking at, you'll get over it.
You have to get over it.
Yeah, you just have, and it's like that fear of meeting new people and walking into an event and trying to meet new people and going, oh, what am I going to tell them? It's the same thing with age, just freaking go for it. And believe me, I know what it's all about because I have to get online with this gorgeous girl and I've got the wrinkles. So, but just, what the hell, you're older, so get over it, right?
Embrace it. I mean, and,
exactly.
I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've always had issues with my weight. I sit there and think about my age. I think about whatever, my cheeks are too big, whatever the case is. And it comes down to, you do have to get to that point where that is just not an issue for you, or you need to go move past it, because the people that love you will love you regardless of what it is. Now, I will say personal hygiene is important. So regardless of age, make sure you practice personal hygiene because you're going to attract a lot more people that way. But literally don't let age impede you in either direction. If you have that entrepreneurial spirit and you want to do business and you know that you can make money at this and you truly, truly believe that it's sustainable within yourself and you're willing to give it that quote unquote good old college try, you're going to come up with some type of success, because failure then does not become an option. So I think that's mindset, is that point where you get to that point where it's like, I'm going to succeed and my age doesn't matter. My looks don't matter. My whatever doesn't matter. My whatever, negative beliefs don't matter, because failures are an option. Then you have no choice but to succeed, provided that you surround yourself with supporting people. Was it Jim Rohn, who said that you are the 5 people you hang around with the most?
Yeah. Or the Ford guy said, you got to surround yourself with successful people, right?
Yes.
Because it rubs off.
It does rub off.
But that knowledge that you gain from these other guys, it's just priceless.
Absolutely. I used to have a roommate one time that would say that his grandmother told him, and it's in Spanish, but I'll translate to English. But basically, his grandmother went up and said, show me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? And that in business, it's the same way. Now that's not to say that we're going to tell you to go hitch your wagon on people that are completely unattainable. Hitch your wagon to people that are like-minded and who want to support one another and can help you grow as not only as a business, but as an individual, and that you're open to them.
Exactly. And the network is going again.
You keep coming in and out. Okay, so those of you that are just joining us, we're coming up to near the end of our show where we're talking about tackling fears. And we all have them. I don't know, anybody who's watching, if there's a specific fear that you've had to overcome, please leave us a comment and let us know. Share that with us, because guaranteed it's probably a fear that Veronica or myself have had at some point in time, or, we're having now. I was telling Veronica, random story. I got my hair done. Oh, she had commented on my lipstick, and I told her, well, you know what? I didn't do my hair, so I got to do my makeup. And it's because of this. I don't like my hair right now, and I'm going to go get it fixed on Thursday, but I don't really want anybody to see my hair. And so let's focus on the positive and eliminate the negative and continue to push forth. And those types of fears are become a limiting belief if I allow them to limit. And so we don't want those limiting beliefs to come in. And to kind of recap on fears, final words on fears, Veronica, because we've talked about so many different types of fears that are real fears that occur with entrepreneurs when you get started, as well as when you're in business.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a plan.
Have a plan. Have a plan. I wholeheartedly agree. Sit down and take that plan, and know that you can overcome your fear, unless it's some kind of paralyzing fear, which in case you should be talking to somebody, and probably not us, because that's not our that's not our market. That's not where we excel in. But go out and get some professional help. But don't be afraid to ask for help. I think is probably one of the biggest fears, because you're not alone. When things happen.
Spend some money. You will, it's like having that, spend some money on a coach. Spend some money on something that can help you, because really you cannot know everything. It's impossible to know everything, right? So get help that you can move forward faster, and because you're really investing in your business, right?
Absolutely. And Veronica, if people want to connect with you, how will they find you on Facebook?
Veronica Jeans Mentor.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pop that in the comments right now. Let me do my copy and my paste so that you guys can see it in there. So that's where you would find Veronica. And for those of you that want to connect with me, I would love to connect with you outside of the show. Please join us every Tuesday here at 1 o'clock Pacific time, 3 o'clock Central, where we talk about random topics to help you marketing your passions. And we broadcast live on my channel as well as on Veronica's page. And you can find me on Facebook. I'm copying and pasting this right here on Facebook.com/Claudia Sheridan 1. So I hope that this has helped you guys. And we truly look forward to seeing you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. So right here, 1 o'clock on Tuesday. And you guys have an amazing day. Bye.
Bye.